Aloha, welcome to the 40th Annual Hawaii International Film Festival presented by Holly Kalani and our discussion with Director Mitchell Viernes, the director of Water Like Fire. He's joined here with his cast members as well. We'd like to extend our thanks to Film Hawaii, the Hawaii Film Office, and also the Nichols Family Film Fund for sponsoring this program and our Made in Hawaii section. My name is Anderson Lamb, and I'm the artistic director for the festival. At the time of this pre-recording, I'm zooming in from Los Angeles, and I want to give a quick land acknowledgement to the land of the Tongva people. But also, since this is HIFF, I want to give a land acknowledgement to the land, to Hawaii, to the land of the Kanaka Maoli. So before we start, just quick housekeeping bits. Our programming updates. For up-to-date information on additions to our program and the full schedule of films, events, HIFF Talk Story sessions, and Q&As, visit our website at hiff.org, hiff.org. Audience Award voting. To participate in our Hawaii News Now Audience Award voting, please head to hawaiinewsnow.com/HIFF to cast your vote for your favorite narrative, documentary, and short film. Mahalo to Hawaii News Now for all their support. All right, so without further ado, I'd like to welcome Mitchell. How are you doing, Mitchell?
I'm doing great. Good to see you.
Yeah, absolutely. Would you like to introduce your cast? Who's going to join us?
Yeah. Yeah, we've got our lead, Tiana Tully, with us here today, and then who plays Chanel Medeiros in the film. And our other lead, Randall Galeas Jr., he unfortunately wasn't going to be able to make it today, and he sends his apologies for that, but he plays Caleb Medeiros, Chanel's brother. And then we also have Angie Anderson with us today, and she plays Candace.
Right, nice to meet you. Thank you for joining us. So Mitchell, Water Like Fire, it's always a challenge to, it takes a village to make a film, right? Especially a full-length, feature-length film. And so we've shown your work at HIFF before. So, but can you just talk about kind of the idea, for the project? What compelled you to make this film?
Yeah, of course. So a really good childhood friend of mine, Josiah Simpson, he and I collaborated on the script. He actually approached me first with the idea for Water Like Fire, and it was a short film idea in the beginning. And when he shared the screenplay with me, I automatically fell in love with the whole idea of this story between these two siblings and how they're coping with tragedy in different ways. And we ended up just going into pre-production, just doing the work to make it happen on our own independently. And we were able to assemble an amazing cast, and a lot of people, after hearing the idea behind the story, were really on board to help out with it. And something that I really love about the whole process of making this movie, I think, is that it was really a true testament to how here in Hawaii, like you mentioned how it takes a village to make a film, and every single person in every aspect of this crew banded together to really make this happen. And someone I really want to make a big shout out to, Leanne Tevez. She works with SAG here locally, and she's been on so many different local productions, but she went above and beyond to help in every single way. So just even, someone like her who just came on board to help as a PA would bring food for craft services and all these kinds of things. And it was really always a joy to come to set. So over the course of a little over 1 week, we shot that short film screenplay. And then after kind of working with it, we realized that the story deserved to have more of a feature length approach to it. So, and Josiah and I were talking about the story, and we had ideas for other scenes that we had to take out because we didn't think it would fit in a short film time span. And we decided to write those back in and write a few other things in that gave a bit more meat to the story. And after approaching all the actors like Tiana, Randall, and Angie about, hey, how do you guys feel about if we kind of decide to turn this into a feature? It would be a big task, but are you guys up for it? And everybody who was involved with the project from the beginning were super gung-ho about putting in whatever work they needed and volunteering whatever time they needed to really make this story come to fruition.
Okay, so So you actually, so Josiah actually gave you a script for a short film. You guys shot it. You cast. You got your crew and you shot it. And then you went, hey, let's expand into a feature. That's basically what you're saying, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it takes time to. I mean, first of all, I have many questions. So it's like, first of all, what in the final feature film, right? What were the scenes or maybe the meat of the short film? What part of the feature film was the short film?
A lot of it was mainly just the two siblings in the hospital having these like interactions with each other. Okay. And a lot of the scenes that we took out of the short from the beginning were things that gave more meat to Chanel and Caleb's character, I think.
Okay. So when you got the footage, you're all pow with the production, and you're like, okay, you're looking at the footage, and you're like, wow, we should expand into a feature film. So what was the time span from deciding to do that to writing the extra scenes to approaching the cast and crew and then shooting the extra scenes to expand into a feature film?
I think it was because Tayana, I think you were the first person I asked, and I think it was maybe like a month or a month and a half after we had finished principal photography of that one long like straight through week. Was it about a month or a month or two?
I don't know. Like it took us like 3 years to make the film as a whole, right? So it's all kind of conjumbled. All of my timelines are overlapped. I just think of them as like segments.
Oh, okay. So it took you 3 years from the short film, and then deciding to make a feature, and then you're I guess because of schedules and doing it on your free time and and whatnot, right? So,
Mitch, I think you're right. I think it was like in the same year, like maybe a couple months later.
Yeah, because we shot everything over the course of kind of like the spring break timeline. Because I since I work at Iolani School, that was a good time for me to get away. I shot over a week, and then all the rest of the pickups for to make it the feature happened over weekends and summer. And
so you basically so the feature film is more the expansion of, I guess, Chanel's story, living kind of like with her, and her work life, her friends, and all that stuff. That was all added into the feature film, or was that also existing in the short?
That was added back. Like originally, the script that Josiah gave me was like about 25, 30 pages at first. So I had to take a lot of stuff out that I thought, if we want this to be a short, we can take this out. And as we worked stuff back in, that's when Josiah and I started having other conversations of even getting into more of the backstory of why Caleb is in this dark hole of the decisions he's making, why he's using drugs as a way to cope with the past, what actually did happen in the past that made him go down this road. Right.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that because the film starts with one perspective and it goes to the other perspective, and so I think that was okay. Now I can see that definitely. So how did you get your cast, Tayana, Angie? How did you come on board? Was it like did Mitchell just have an open casting call, or and then you auditioned for it? What was the process?
And would you like to tell the story?
Yeah, we Mitchell was working as crew for another film that both Tayana and I auditioned for, and nothing for me personally came of that audition except for Mitchell reaching out to me and saying, I have an audition for a short that I'm making, and I'd really like for you to come out. And I was so flattered. I was so happy that I was being reached out to by this guy who was super cool. And so I was like, yeah, totally. I'll come out and audition. I got cast, which was really cool. And then after that, we became the best of friends, honestly. Like, we're super close now, so we try to do anything and everything together creatively. So that was like a super blessing to have, have Mitchell reach out to me and just this whole world open up afterwards.
Yeah, it was funny. Angie and I actually auditioned together for this other film that actually wasn't made. It didn't end up being made, but yeah, Mitchell was on the production part of that film, and I guess he noticed us and remembered us. And when he was in pre-production for Water Like Fire, had us in mind, gave us a call, asked us to audition, and the rest is history.
Maybe when you were kind of figuring it out with Josiah, flesh out the script and stuff like that, was it a long process to beef up the script to make it into feature length, the screenplay itself, or was it pretty easy?
I don't think it was. No, it came very naturally, I think. And of course, when it comes to making a feature film, we obviously went a very non-conventional route. But when I sat down with him and I started talking with him about the idea of what it might look like, all these ideas just kind of started coming forward, and we were able to write things down and switch things out, figured out what would work and what didn't. But adding on to what had already existed, what we already shot, didn't feel difficult. It all felt very natural and easy, I thought.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I mean, just for the cast, it's like, what's great, because you have, Diana's character, Chanel, basically, she goes through incredible tragedy with the loss of her parents, but also with, her brother kind of like somewhere on the streets, and whatnot. And I really like the story of, these, kind of coworkers, but also, friends who really support each other. What was the, I mean, it seemed like you were all friends. You all lived in a big house or something, and you guys support each other. So I really like that aspect of it. Can you talk about kind of like, I mean, from an actor's point of view, just kind of developing, kind of those relationships, in the sense of community for Chanel, in the sense that her family is no longer with her, but her family is, you are her adopted family in a way,
Exactly.
So I mean, do you guys want to comment on? Did you guys work it out as characters, or as as actors, working out how they those relationships became more resonant or real on screen, or was it just because Mitchell's script was so it's like, oh yeah, we can totally get it, and we can.
I think a lot of it may have been with the casting too. Like, honestly, to be completely honest, when we're on set, it was just so natural to just be friends. Like, and that's how Angie and I got so close to Mitchell, and we just the friendship that was shown through the film was real. It was yeah, we really just connected in such an easy, effortless way. So we really didn't. I mean, we've talked a little bit about backstory in terms of friendship, what happened when this, and different scenarios, but we didn't have to put much work into making it natural and like a family.
Thinking about it, actually, the progression of scenes where, at the Chanel kind of goes through a period where she's a little bit withdrawn, and we filmed those very easily. So it was a little bit easier to have that, there's a little bit of distance there, but then scenes that we filmed where there's a really close connection and there's a emotional support happening, we filmed a little bit later into our friendship, so that that naturally kind of panned out with the emotional arcs of the scenes, which was really cool. Now that I'm thinking about it, that's a really cool happens.
I want to say I also just feel very blessed and lucky that I just had a very amazing cast that kind of came together for it, because it's exactly what you said. I've had comments from people how their friendship seems so natural. And what I thought was fun on set, that Tayana and Angie know a lot about firsthand, is there's a lot of the scenes where I allowed for more opportunity for them to improv. We had a map of how the scene was going to go, at the house party and everything like that. But a lot of the great lines that came out of them was just ad-libbed on set, really just.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, did you ad lib a lot? Did you improv a lot? Maybe even those party scenes or anything like that, or?
I think Mitchell gave us a lot of freedom when it came to improv. Well, we had the script, of course, and a lot of what's in the film is in the script. But what I thought was really amazing was that sometimes to get into a scene, Mitchell would let us improv to lead into it. And like for an actor, that's amazing because you just get into this momentum and then you're just living it. And then everything comes so organically and it's just so spontaneous and easy and raw and truthful.
I did want to make a comment real quick. I know that he's not here, but I do have to say Randall, the way that, and I had known Randall like pretty superficially through the theater community, but we had a scene together that he threw himself into completely, and him opening himself up like that, like it helped me. So that guy is to watch out for. He is fantastic, and he was a huge asset.
Oh, 500%. I agree completely.
I mean, unfortunately, Randall isn't here in the Q&A, but Mitchell, as the director, I mean, he had a very challenging role. You know, it could have been like, you know, for, you know, like as, you know, as a, you know, basically, just a substance abuse user, you know, on the streets, you know, cut off from his only family, his sister, you know, him, you know, going through basic withdrawals or going through, you know, like almost ODing. I mean, how did you work with him on an actor's level to kind of, you know, kind of shape his performance?
I honestly got very worried a few times because I knew I was asking a lot of him because there are some very heavy scenes that he goes through. Yeah. And there were points where like I would just let him. I think there was especially one of the hospital scenes where we had to just let him go. He went off into a room by himself to like really get into the headspace of where he needed to be. And there are moments where I would just get kind of up in his face, and I would almost be like his conscience whispering these really bad thoughts into his head. But he and I had talked about about what approach would help him get to these places. Yeah. But I was very thankful he was so willing to go there, and he was willing to be super vulnerable on camera. But yeah, there were definitely a few times after the camera stopped rolling, I had to come up and I was like, "Are you okay? I know that was big to ask of you." But he's such a trooper. He's such an amazing raw talent.
I remember Mitchell a lot asking us like, "Okay, are you okay? Do you need a little break? How are you doing as like Tiana? Like, is it Chanel? Like, are you actually okay emotionally right now? Do you need a minute?" And I also really appreciate how Mitchell would give us the time to prepare for a scene. Not necessarily a lot of time where it's going to waste the whole day, but enough time to really go there and be honest and authentic and find that within us as actors.
Let's talk about the kind of the water photography, you know, in the surfing. All those scenes are beautiful. Mitchell, can you talk about kind of working with your DP to capture that, or you're in Hawaii, so I'm assuming, as a filmmaker, I assume that you had like prior experience, like, you know, doing water photography or what have you, or ocean photography. You know, can you comment on kind of that process of making it very almost like dreamlike and almost like her sanctuary? You know, she's like, you know, so I love that kind of dynamic you had with her being alone in the ocean and just being, you know, in a sense, kind of let go from, you know, just being released from all her worries from, you know, everyday life. So.
Actually, my DP for all of the water scenes was Owner Champ. He's got another short in about the fire knife dancer.
En route, right? Yeah.
He's absolutely amazing, and I think A-Frame from a few festivals ago or something was the film I remember seeing that like I knew when I was making Water Like Fire. I was like, whoever shot this is who I need for all of the surfing, because that's exactly what I wanted to achieve, for her to feel like this ethereal world that she enters whenever she's out on the board. Right. And really just being able to sit down with him, and I had my storyboards drawn out, and I communicated to him kind of the feeling I wanted for out there. And I think him obviously being someone who loves the ocean and appreciates it as well, him having that perspective made shooting it very, very easy. So I was really thankful to have him on board to do all of those water scenes. But he did the most of it. And then there were a few other pickups we did with a local surf and water photographer, videographer named Philip Kitamura. And he did all the underwater scenes for towards the end with what happens to Chanel.
Right.
And that was a mission to shoot as well, as Tiana can testify to. But I'm so happy with how all of it turned out.
So, yeah, go ahead, Tiana. Do you want to add to that?
We tried to shoot that scene multiple times in different locations of the last underwater scene, and I kind of gave Mitchell a hard time about it because I'm afraid of sharks. So there's that.
Get that.
Yeah, that scene was a little more challenging for me anyway. I had to go underwater and hold my breath, and I'm not like the best swimmer. I can swim, but I don't know. And I get anxiety in the water sometimes. So there was this one location we went to, and I was like, Mitch, I just can't do it. Like, I think we went to like China Walls. I was like, no, we can't. Like treading water. So scary.
Okay, so I I mean, again, I was not expecting the ending, the twist in a way, but I liked it. I mean, this film is very much, it's very much like, in a sense, like, I think a lot of young, I think the intended audience is definitely for young people, when it comes to kind of like life lessons and what have you, life and death, tragedy. And then I say this in, the best way, like I say it's like, the way you handled the ending, especially with Chanel's character, the result of Chanel's character, what have you, is it didn't fall into kind of like the after-school special trappings that you would think, So I think it's like it was done in a very, very narratively very strong way, and I really felt for the characters and stuff like that, and the sense of loss that happened. So can you just talk about deciding to do that? When it comes to, in a sense, like Caleb's, in a way, coming back to the end of the tunnel on his journey, in that sense, so.
Yeah, I mean, when Josiah first gave me the script, and that's what happened at the end, I was obviously really thrown too, and I was really affected because I had fallen in love with Chanel's character throughout the whole beginning of the script. And actually, I think that's when he and I were talking about the things we were adding to the script to make it a feature, that was something we wanted to really emphasize a bit more, was Caleb's arc and how this became a redemption story for him in the end. And that's when Josiah and I started talking about this idea of the parallel between the bench that Candace and Chanel are on when she's in the waiting room in the hospital, and the bench that Candace ends up with Caleb on in the end. Because when they're in the hospital, Chanel talks about how, she almost wishes for Caleb to reach a low point that'll just wake him up. And unfortunately, in this situation, this was the catalyst for really pushing him to realize I need to get my life in order. And that's when he realizes it on that. He's sitting on that bench with Candace, and he says he knows he has to change. And Candace, remembering this is all that everything Chanel had talked about, Candace says like, oh, she would be really happy to hear that.
Yeah. How about for Angie and Tiana, like when you read that, the ending, how did it affect you, and how did it inform your performance? And maybe especially for Angie, because it comes full circle in the way that there's parallels between, especially what Mitchell said with the two bench scenes, right? So.
Yes. I actually recall that Mitchell did not reveal this to us for quite some time.
Oh,
I do
really?
remember that. I was trying to think back, and I was like, wait, why is this
I didn't?
in my memory?
No, Mitchell, you refuse. You had me go. Okay, so there's a scene where I arrive. Oh, I don't think it ended up making it into the final cut, did it? Where I arrived at the shore with.
Oh, it's in there.
Oh, never mind. Well, anyway, there's a scene where I find out about it, but he didn't tell me what it was. He didn't tell me who was in the water and who we were panicking about.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. And then
Were
finally,
you pulling an M. Night Shyamalan, trying to like
on his own path. But then finally he did have to, for us to, truthfully give this story and show this story. And that was hard. That was hard. Because I had fallen in love with, Chanel as a best friend as well. So that was hard.
Mm-hmm.
Tiana, how about you? I mean, with your character's fate, how did you take it?
As Tiana reading the script?
Yeah, sure. Tiana, but also as embodying Chanel, so.
I think when I read it initially, I was like, yeah, this is so tragic. Like, I was just so excited to tell this story. Yeah. Because it's so unexpected, right? And it's so bold. It's such a bold move to not have a happy ending, I guess, in that way. I mean, it's based on perspective. I mean, it can be a happy ending, but it was just so unexpected. So I was really excited about that, about telling that part of the story. As Chanel, I don't know. It didn't really affect the way I would have played Chanel, I guess. As you would in real life, you would just live your life to the fullest. So as Chanel, I just tried to live her life to the fullest. So
Right. I mean, it's basically, it's a testament to basically life is short, life is fickle, right? I mean, like, it's like, so, and, this film is very much about life and death, so.
Yeah.
I mean, just,
we don't know when we're going to die, right? So Chanel had no idea. So I can't really, it's probably better that I didn't know.
What a bummer. I mean, let's change the subject really quick. So for if this was another bummer, it's like we didn't have the pandemic, this would be in the theater. This would be a live Q&A, and always like for films made in Hawaii, a lot of the like the cat. I mean, a lot of the audiences would say, "Where'd you shoot your movie? Where'd you shoot your movie? Which restaurant? Which bar were they in?" Or like So can you just talk about kind of like highlights of where you shot? Where at the beach? You said China Walls. Where was the restaurant? Where was the hospital?
Well, what's interesting is that the restaurant Lola's, which it used to be on Ke'eaumoku Street, but now it's gone. It closed down like almost just under a year ago now. And I was just talking with Angie and Ty how it almost feels like the movie is a little bit of a time capsule in a way, because Lola's isn't there. The location we used for Caleb's apartment, those old apartments have been torn down. Those aren't there anymore.
Oh, wow.
There's a scene where Caleb's walking along the street, and I wanted him to walk in this specific area of Kapahulu because I thought the big, long stretch of graffiti looked in a grungy way, looked beautiful, and that's all painted over and redone and looks nice now. But there's so many locations that are just very different that changed in the course over 3 years. So It's really cool to look back. When I watch back at the film, it's crazy how things have changed in just that short amount of time.
Right. I mean,
and the hospital scene.
The hospital, sorry, yeah. The hospital.
Oh yeah, we're fortunate to get to shoot in the empty, abandoned side of Aleahi Hospital, right by KCC.
By KCC, got it. Okay, yeah, because it just has that, the Lola's that was on Ke'eaumoku. Oh, I think I know where it is. It's on Ke'eaumoku and Beretania, right? Beretania.
Yeah, right around.
Yeah. Okay, got it. Okay. So I mean, So final question, like it's like, the film is in the can, it's going to premiere. What is your kind of, you get it, send it out to the world. Mitchell, as the filmmaker, how do you want, what is your intention for the film to be seen by audiences and are you thinking on your next project already?
I'm always thinking about what my next project is going to be. And as Angie has mentioned it, like having Angie and Tayana as super close friends now, we're always looking forward to collaborating on more things in the future. And they're such amazing. They're so talented. So I'm fortunate to have them as just friends personally, but also that they like to collaborate with me. In terms of the film, it's interesting to look back at it because it's definitely, I feel like, a reflection of 24-year-old filmmaker me 3 years ago. Again, the whole like time capsule thing.
Sure.
And it's exciting I'm so proud of it, but it's so exciting to see how I've grown and other projects I've worked on in the middle of that time. But as we submit it to more festivals, that's definitely my goal, to have it seen by as many people as can, whoever might be touched by the message. The original inspiration for the story from Josiah is actually, he had a coworker who he worked with that would often, he would be like, they would carpool and they would drive around, and she would often ask to like stop at some places because she'd get food and give it to her homeless brother. Mm-hmm. And when he wrote the script, he wrote that with her story in mind. And so so we have a small dedication to her story and how her love for her brother inspired the film at the end of the credits. But she saw an earlier cut of the film, and she's been hearing been updated about the festival circuit and everything. And she expressed how touching it is for her to feel like, her story is being realized on screen, and that maybe someone else out there who is dealing with something similar to with what she was dealing with might be able to feel that when they watch that too, feel like they're seen and that they're heard, and what they're going through is being empathized with. So even just hearing that from her, being relayed that from Josiah, was just the biggest reward in and of itself already.
That's great. Tayana and Angie, obviously, Mitchell says gives you high praise. I mean, looking forward to working with Mitchell again, or what are you working on next? Or it doesn't have to be film; it could be anything else. It can be anything you want. Yeah. So, you're working on? Yeah.
I know that he gives us high praise, but we're honestly incredibly spoiled by him. The fact that he wants to keep bringing us back, being such a talented and incredible filmmaker and storyteller, we're entirely spoiled. And anything Mitchell wants to do, I'm down. Both of us, honestly, we say it all the time. Anything he wants, we will do.
I'll give him my leg.
Yeah,
take it.
As far as like future projects coming up, I mean, we have ideas. We have ideas that are, in the mix right now. But I don't have anything solid. Ty, what about you?
I'm very grateful because Water Like Fire was kind of what kickstarted my career more in Hawaii, because right before that I had gone through a really bad accident. I was going to acting school in LA at the time, but then like my final year of school, literally one more project and then I was done. And then this tragic accident happened. I was very injured. I had to come straight home, couldn't finish, like long story short, couldn't finish. I just thought my world was just spun 180 and I was just so like devastated and I didn't know what my life was anymore. But I knew I wanted to be an actor. So in this process of recovery, towards the end of my recovery, I auditioned for that other film and then got Water Like Fire. And that was just like my first job since graduating school. It was a story that I resonated with so much in so many different ways. And I think, as Mitchell said, a lot of people would be able to empathize with that too. And as an actor, that's all I want is to be able to tell this story and for people to experience those feelings of like, I don't know, just conclusion, love, empathy, understanding, their stories being told, all of those things. That's all I wanted as an actor. So anyway, back to what I was saying. This Water Like Fire really was like my fire of hope in the tides of despair. Like, it was what kind of pulled me out and gave me the hope again to be able to have this acting career. And from that, I've gained so many opportunities that I probably never would have gotten if I hadn't come back to Hawaii, if I hadn't done Water Like Fire. Like, and to have such amazing best friends, and now we're creating such fun, enjoyable content, and to be able to experiment and do fun things as artists. It's just like, I don't know. I just give so much credit to Water Like Fire for changing my life in that way, honestly.
Well, on that note, I think you produced a really great film. We're very honored to have it at the Hawaii International Film Festival, and I'm looking forward to, not only local audiences but audiences nationwide to experience the film. So, congratulations on all your hard work on willingness to make it happen. I mean, it seemed like it seemed like almost a very organic process. Like, from a short film to, hey, let's just make a feature, and like making it all happen. That's just a testament to your hard work and determination. So, congratulations to the Water Like Fire team. Thank you, Mitchell. Thank you, Angie. Thank you, Tayana, for joining us. And that concludes our Q&A. I just want to give a mahalo to all of our HIFF sponsors, board of directors, and HIFF Ohana members, and also our audience members, and of course our volunteers. If you're able, please consider donating to our HIFF40 for 40 fundraising campaign. Every dollar counts towards keeping HIFF presenting great content like this in the future. Learn more and donate at hiff.org/40 for 40. That's 40-FOR-40. Thank you very much, and we hope to see you in the next film. Mahalo.